Hey everybody, I hope you are doing well. I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot. I'm an intuitive tarot reader, but I am a shamanic priestess coming out with that more and more this year. Can't wait to work with many of you on that. Lots of interest around it. Talked about doing some rebranding this year. I have a lot of experience, you all. And in the topic of today's tape, this is going to be a short political reading because, as many of you already know, I am a former newspaper journalist and I used to do a lot of political coverage. This is way back in the day. But still, I keep my eye open and see what's happening. I don't do a lot of stuff here on the channel, but I dip in every now and again, and certainly intend to keep doing that. I love being a part of this community. So many of you are on it, like you all are on it. You keep your eyes open and see what's happening. A lot is at stake for us this year. So, having said that, what was that SHIT show that we saw last night after Mafia Don won the New Hampshire primary? When I saw Vivek and Tim Scott on that stage with him, and noticed, if some of you saw it, when Trump came on stage to do his little victory lap, Vivek and Tim Scott were right behind him. Vivek tried to walk right up with him right away, and someone must have signaled and said, because then you saw him have to backtrack a few steps and let Trump take the podium alone for a moment, and then they all moved up and they all rallied behind him and got more involved. But I'm wondering about that. I want to go to Spirit and see what's up with that. I mean, clearly, Trump, I happen to think that Trump, as we know, has been making a lot of flubs, verbal flubs lately. It's coming out more and more, and his mental fitness is being questioned more and more now. Most of us have known that was an issue for quite some time, but now, the national media, there's a lot that's starting to get out there. Like people are, Nikki Haley came straight out and said, look, you guys need to pay attention to what this guy is saying. When he came right out and said her name repeatedly in reference to the fact that it was Nikki Haley and not Nancy Pelosi who was in charge of security at the Jan 6 riots. Like, it was like, this can't be real. This can't be happening. So I'm wondering if part of why Vivek, other than the fact that he's a sycophant or sycophant, however I pronounce that, it's supposed to be pronounced. But, Vivek is there for the party no matter how the party evolves. He's going to, meaning Trump's party. He's down for Mafia Don. He wants to be a lieutenant in Mafia Don's organization, clearly. Tim Scott, I know I shouldn't be surprised. I should not be surprised, right? But there he was grinning, showing all the gums all the way through the back of his mouth, and had the nerve to say, even though Trump was a little, snippy with him, a little snide with him, like, yeah, here you are, come kiss this ring. He turned around and when it was his time to speak, and he said, I just love you, to Trump. If I was his so-called fiance, interesting how that developed. Interesting the timing of that, huh? Let's keep our eyes on how that relationship, Tim and his girl, keep our eyes on how that evolves over time. But had I been her, I just would have cringed. Like, he was just, it was beyond being effusive. It was, and he got caught because he had been, Tim Scott was interviewed by Dana Bash earlier this week, right before the primary, and said, so wait a minute, we have you, she played the tape, we have you on the campaign trail when you were still a candidate, talking about the need to get away from, victimhood and this anger sort of thing. And he tried to spin it to say he wasn't really talking about Trump at the time. He was talking about politics in general and how the parties in general, both Democrats and Republicans, have gotten into this victimization mode. So he spun it, and I think he anticipated it. He knew it was coming. He already knew people were going to say, listen, you were out there. No, you didn't dog Trump, but you were out there as a candidate and you were making, critical remarks to some extent. And now you are, I love you, he said. I just love you. On national television. That's an unforgivable sin. As an African American woman, the ancestors, you have been exiled. Tim Scott, you and Clarence Thomas, both of you. Your card has been pulled. You are no longer a part of the culture. Period. So anyway, that said, I want to look at you all. I want to go to Spirit and see this issue around Trump's mental fitness. And I know the same argument to some extent is being made around Joe Biden as well. We'll deal with some of that a little bit later. But here's what I wonder. If these polls, which drive us nuts, but we can't stop watching, if these polls are to be believed, there are so many people who are saying, listen, even if Trump is convicted, we don't see a problem with him being the top dog of the United States of America. So what? He did some wrongs, but we can forgive that because that's our boy. We like him no matter what. I am wondering the extent to which, as he continues, and I'm not going to say if, as Trump continues to show and cannot hide behind his mental situation, is that going to make a difference in the voting republic? Is that going to, are Americans going to realize, wait a minute, this guy really, if he's going to be in charge of the nuclear codes, is he really there? Is that really going to make, are we really going to line up for this? I have the Eight of Wands, so it is going to be talked about more and more. All right. and it does. It feels really spacey right now, right? It feels like we're all out in space right now. All right. So Eight of Wands. It's going to become more and more of a factor. And doggone if I didn't pull this man. I'm using, many of you have enjoyed when I do political readings, the United States of Tarot. So there he is, sitting there looking pathetic, having just had a Big Mac probably, and some french fries and lots of ketchup. But there he is, the emperor, as he sees himself, spewing. And here comes the King of Swords, Barack Obama. You know what? I don't know, it's not going to stop the train, you all. Trump's going to get the nomination, Mafia Don. He's going to get the nomination. Clearly, we know that. We've already gotten beyond that. But I do think that the discussions are going to be had, and I think they're going to be had. I'm feeling more by, the what used to be the Republican leaders of the party. I think they're being silent. We see them being silenced more and more. But there is, within his own ranks, within his own those people who have typically, just stood in lockstep with him, there are discussions that are being had behind the scenes, and it's being had to the extent, Seven of Pentacles, it's being had around how do we already plan to mitigate this? How do we put people out in front of him? I think, again, going back to why he had Vivek Ramaswamy make his little spiel last night is because, if nothing else, him with that smile that reminds us of Jack Nicholson out of The Shining, that grin, it's something eerie about that grin. But he knows how to get up there and spin a yarn and not miss a step and not miss a syllable, too much even, but he knows how to do it. And I wonder if that is why Trump recognizes, and the people around Trump recognize, this mental decline, and so they will put more attack dogs, more loquacious and effective attack dogs like Vivek out there on the campaign trail as we go along, because Trump in and of himself, it's going to be bad. But at the same time, there's the Fool. And typically in tarot, the Fool represents a new journey, doing something different, going in a completely different direction, sometimes taking a chance. It can be risky, but I think the Fool here is representing, in the context of this reading, people are blind. They are completely blind to the truth of this man, and it doesn't matter. He can get on there and babble with saliva running down his chin, and they will find a way to justify it and say, well, maybe he was on some medication, he just had a bad day. I don't see it making a dent. Dag it. Wheel of Fortune. Events are going to play out, but it's not going to be because people suddenly have this awakening and say, whoa, we got to back up from this guy. I think Spirit is saying here, events simply have to play out. We are going to see a lot of changes around him. There are whispers around whether or not he will even make it to the election, given the state of his health, mental and otherwise. So we're going to see about that. But in the meantime, they're going to spin it. I also see that alternative facts there, with Kellyanne Conway. They're going to spin it. They're going to basically say, you didn't hear what you heard. Your eyes didn't see what they saw. this guy is still okay. They are locked in no matter what, hell or high water. Now, what I also want to see Spirit led me to is Biden, because that argument is also being made about Joe Biden based on his age. Okay, is he in his cognitive abilities at this stage? What I want to go to Spirit now and see what's going to happen when those two men wind up on a debate stage together, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're going to see them at some point finally have to face off against one another. And Biden, love him dearly, but he has never been the most articulate person. He has never been the person who's able to really stay on script and deliver the message. Sometimes we have to sit on the edge of our seats. Barack Obama certainly experienced a lot of those situations when Biden was his right-hand man, his vice president. So let's see, Spirit, how's that going to go? And it's time for these two men, one who certainly is demonstrating decline and the other who's is getting older. How's that going to play out when they get on the national debate stage? Eight of Swords, the Empress, and the Ace of Wands. Who's that Empress? Is that Kamala? The Hierophant. Yeah, okay. So Kamala's going to step in and help. She's really going to be working closely with Biden behind the scenes, as well as his other handlers. He's going to have he has and will continue to have and build an amazing team. He's going to have people coaching him. But Kamala, who is absolutely, she is powerful when she takes the stage, when she's putting forth an idea. She knows how to speak. Look, we remember what she did to Mike Pence with the fly. Remember that? We remember what she did to Mike Pence on a debate stage. So she's a very good debater. She uses her background very effectively that way. So I've got the Hierophant and the Empress. This is someone who's going to teach him, help, not teach, but you know what I'm saying. Be a force for him. Helping him handle that, really helping to prep him before they go on stage. We have the Seven of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles. So I think there's going to be a lot of information that comes out that is going to sway people's minds one way or another in regards to both Biden and Trump and their ability to their fitness, their cognitive fitness, and where they are right now. And the Three of Pentacles. There's a lot of brass tacks energy here. There's a lot of, both of them will try and portray themselves as very grounded, as very practical, as very knowledgeable about the state of affairs, the state of the economy, etc. They will both have a very clear platform that they're both being given. Stick to these issues. With Biden, we know we're going to see a lot on abortion, on the economy, etc. And we know we're going to see a lot on the border, etc. from Mafia Don. They will both be very, very well rehearsed in the issues, but their ability to deliver it. Ten of Cups. It's going to get loose in the High Priestess. Yeah, it's going to get a little loose, a little dicey. And there's going to be some flubs. I've got the Magician. And look who's standing there over him. Putin standing over Trump and the Magician. I know some of you are going to love that. So there is definitely, they will be extremely coached, well coached, both of them. But I think when it's time to actually get behind those podiums, there's going to be a certain denseness. They're going to ramble. There's going to be a lot of rambling from both of them. I do think that Biden will come out ahead of it, because Biden is, to the extent that natural aging may be affecting his processes, he's still healthy in most regards, in many regards. He's still very healthy. He's very sharp. He understands. He will pull through, but it's going to take a lot of help from his team. And I do see Kamala Harris having a lot to do with that. It's going to be really interesting to see who Trump's VP pick is. Last night when I saw Vivek and Tim Scott behind him, I started giving a second, is that, but that's not it. That's not it at all. I think both of them are just going to be useful tools on the campaign trail as he goes towards the nomination, to sort of bolster him, just his little lieutenants, Mafia Don's lieutenants, and they're there for just to bolster his situation, his positioning, and his power. They're there to show, hey, these two are kissing the ring. Everybody else better as well. You notice that DeSantis didn't show up, and I know it was because he wasn't invited, but he knows, Trump and his team know who they can bend to their will. Vivek, no problem. Vivek is just, anytime you give him a stage, he's going to get on it. I don't care if he has to, I don't care if he has to parachute in. If you give him that opportunity, he's going to take it. Tim Scott, he's probably angling. He may be angling even for that VP position, but I just don't see. He's got that evangelical crowd, but he doesn't have that national appeal. The Hermit came up with, gosh, I can't believe his name is escaping me. Talk about age. Bernie. Whew. All right, these 60s are real. Bernie Sanders comes up with the Hermit. There's, he's learning a lot of lessons. Tim Scott is learning a lot of lessons about what his future could be. He's learning the extent to which he's going to need to make friends, because he doesn't have it on his own. He doesn't have that oomph. He doesn't have enough. His window of support, hard and fast supporters, is narrowing. It was already small, but it's narrowing even further, because he does not and did not have a voice that really carries, and he has a very singular message that always goes back to simply quoting the Bible. And interestingly enough, he and Vivek are two opposite poles of ends of that spectrum, because that narrow focus, always quoting the Bible, that Tim Scott does, versus the let's change, and completely eradicate everything we ever knew and rebuild a society that Vivek offers. That's a really interesting, and I think it was very deliberate on Mafia Don's part to have them there. But they're not, and the Ace of Cups. Interesting. He's just kissing butt. Tim Scott is just kissing butt, hope on a wing and a prayer that there would be room for him in the cabinet, perhaps a cabinet position, etc. I don't see him. I would be really surprised if he comes up as the pick. No, he's not going to come up as the pick. He doesn't have enough swag. He doesn't have enough juice. But he would be, and then here comes Trump. He would be the perfect puppet, though. He'd be the perfect puppet. Be interesting to see how that plays out. Right now, I'm thinking they're going to look to everyone else. Like, Tim would definitely be a last-ditch effort if no one else came to the fore, all right? I want to turn over now to something else that has come out in the news, and that is Fani Willis and the supposed affair that she had with Nathan Wade, special prosecutor that she appointed on the case that we have in Georgia against Trump. Now, there is there's some eyebrows have been raised, and some of these suspicions, I'm even like, because apparently I didn't know this. Nathan Wade had no criminal experience when he was appointed as a special prosecutor. His background was in family law. So there were a lot of questions around, like, how did he even get here? Number one. Secondly, what is it with these so-called, trips that were taken? So for those of you who may not know, Nathan Wade is in the middle of a divorce case. His wife, Jocelyn, however she pronounces it. Jocelyn, let me back up. Who was it? Norman somebody? One of the people who have been charged by Fani Willis in co-conspirator with Trump in the Georgia case. They had their attorneys do some digging. So that's how all of this came up. Jocelyn, in the meantime, is in the middle of this divorce case with Nathan. And Jocelyn was like, okay, what? Let's pull the records. Let's find these credit card statements that supposedly show that tickets were bought, that Nathan Wade bought these airline tickets for he and Fani to go to Aruba, to go to Miami, to go to San Francisco. And this is happening not way back in the day. This is happening after his appointment as a special prosecutor, after he was already, I think one of the trips allegedly took place in April of last year. So this was all happening as this case is actually being, coming out and gathering steam. Fani Willis is on headlines all over the world for, okay, Georgia, let's watch you. Let's watch our girl do our thing. I find it so hard to believe she could have been that dumb. Like how did you think of that? Now, of course, so Jocelyn, the divorcee or soon to be divorcee, is coming out and calling, is calling Fani Willis his paramour, and she's saying that the money that should be coming to her, he's been spending to take Fani Willis on these lavish trips. Now, accordingly, he has had he's been paid about $650,000 so far. $650,000 so far for being a prosecutor on this case. Nathan Wade, they tried to subpoena Fani for a deposition in the divorce case. She managed to get past that, but Nathan Wade will have to testify. Clearly, it's his divorce case, so he's going to have to give a deposition. And Fani's reasoning was, well, listen, I should not have to do that because this is their divorce case. You're already going to have him testify. Surely that's going to come up why he bought these tickets or whatever he allegedly has done. So, and by the way, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Let me put that out there. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. The divorce records were, which are typically family law, those are always protected. The divorce records were apparently unsealed due to all of this brouhaha. Some of them are still under protection, I guess, given, if they're too sensitive in nature, they're still protected. But there's a lot that we will see and that will come out regarding this divorce case as we learn more about what's really happening between Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. My question to Spirit is Fani Willis going to get pulled off of the case ultimately? Is this going to be such a distraction that she, and by extension Nathan Wade, will they get pulled off of the case? I've got the Hierophant, and I've got the Queen of Cups. She has a lot of support. And the Queen of Wands, that's her. I don't know who the Queen of Cups is, that because I didn't feel that was her, but when I saw the Queen of Wands, that's her. By the way, in this deck, they show the Queen of Wands as Michelle Obama. I thought you'd enjoy that. That's Fani. Fani's got that fire. Her father was a Black Panther. She was raised, and he raised her. She was raised by a single father. So she's got that fight. She's got that grit. She can be a bulldog. She's not going to roll over for this. Think about this. This is a landmark case, probably the most important case that she will ever have in her career as a prosecutor. So she's going to buckle down and find the people who will help her through this. There's a Two of Cups. Love or something like it. So yeah, allegedly there may be something to this between she and Nathan Wade. Eight of Pentacles. These documents are going to come out. They're going to dig on it, and they're not going to let go of it. And I think it's going to come out that there's some there. All right? There's some there between Fani and Nathan. Now, ultimately, what that's designed to do, Three of Cups, the marriage and the marriage being dissolved. Ultimately, this is about money for Joyce Lynn. So she's basically saying, hey, you've been giving me, I think he's been giving her, according to stories, he's been giving her $700 a month in spousal support. He's made $650,000 in the last year. So she's looking at a gimme. Spirit, is Fani going to get pulled off of the case? Princess of Wands, somebody coming behind her to help her cause, somebody else on her staff. And I have the Death card. Ooh. Are you telling me she's coming off? Four of Wands. You all, this is not good for her at all. This is not good for Fani. And he's just like, Spirit is like, he's just like, whatever. He's going to be ashamed. The Nine of Swords. This is going to cast a lot of doubt, and even the other defendants that have been brought down, the co-conspirators with Trump in the Georgia case. everyone's going to use any advantage that they have. Everyone's going to use this, and it's going to mount. It's going to continue to steamroll. I think Fani is in trouble with the case, but with her role in the case. But the case is going to go forward no matter what. Trump did what he did. He made the call. We heard it over and over again. Nine of Cups. Yeah, it's going to continue to go. But there's some hard decisions. I think Fani might ultimately get pulled off of this case. She's going to resist it. It's not going to happen right away. We already know that case was already expected to go a lot later because she decided to bring the charges against those lump sum defendants versus the way that I think many people would argue the smarter way that it was done in the DC case and Jack Smith, because he knew that, he saw that as being an impediment to bring too many people at once, that it would delay the case. So by doing it that way, but she did what she did, but I wonder how much longer she's going to be able to do it, because Spirit is definitely saying she has cast a lot of doubt, and to the extent that it reaches a point that it is a genuine impediment to the prosecution of the case and the ongoing prosecution of the case with the various defendants. I think they're going to find a way to show her the door and bring somebody else in. I also saw a male energy, so I think it would be to keep our eyes on what other male prosecutors come to the fore. All right, you all. That's what I got for today. Take really good care of yourselves. Let's keep it going. Keep our eyes open, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.